Ocean Smelts. I've got 1.5 pounds cleaned and washed with the juice of a lemon and cool water and drained. So I've got the Ocean Smelts here, head removed. It's already nice and clean. What we're gonna do is give it a quick season. Then we're gonna fry them. Then we're gonna build that curry. We're doing curry Ocean Smelts. Salt. And if you find that I'm going a bit heavy with the salt there, keep in mind this is all the salt I'll be adding. Later on, yeah, we can adjust it to our own liking. But for now, that's all the salt we're using. Of course, some fresh ground black pepper. And this sort of seasoning or marinade is very simple. And lastly, and while I thought I was filming, I wasn't. But what I added is 1.5 tablespoons of Caribbean green seasoning. And Caribbean green seasoning is just a blend or puree of all the herbs we like using in our dishes. And it's sort of like the base for many of our dishes, whether it's a meat, seafood or fish, or it's a curry, a vegetable curry. Yo, excuse me, we use it quite a bit. Head over to CaribbeanPot.com. You'll see that recipe there for the Caribbean green seasoning. I urge you, I'm not trying to put the businesses out of business, but I urge you to make your own at home. No preservatives and all that. But again, full recipe over at CaribbeanPot.com. The French-speaking Caribbean got a version. The Spanish-speaking Caribbean got a version of this. So that is it. We got salt, black pepper, and the Caribbean green seasoning on that cleaned and washed smelt. Just to mix that in there. And my Caribbean green seasoning, ladies and gentlemen, the base for it is olive oil. A lot of people use water or vinegar. And we got a fish trying to swim out there. No, sir, you're going back inside the festivities over there. Let me just clean up a little bit. But again, I urge you to head over to CaribbeanPot.com and you'll verify what a wonderful recipe my Caribbean green seasoning recipe is. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. While the lighting isn't the greatest, what I have here is 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. All I'm going to do is lightly dredge the smelts in the flour. Then we're going to fry them. And the reason for the flour and the reason for frying is to sort of cook it without, first of all, the frying is going to cook it without it falling apart. If we put it this whole in the curry sauce, it will fall apart by the time we're done cooking the fish. The reason for the flour, it gives it a nice crust, and that crust is gonna allow the curry sauce to adhere or stick to it. Yeah, and secondly, the remnant of that flour will also help thicken up the gravy. And you see, this is all I'm doing. Let me put it over here so you can see. Yeah, that's all I'm doing. No big science about it. That's gonna allow to thicken up the gravy when we make the curry sauce later on. It's just a matter then of tossing fish into that hot oil, and we're gonna fry them until crisp. We're gonna remove them, and I don't know if you guys can see over here, I have some paper towels in a bowl. I'm just going to, and you don't want to not overcook, but it won't take long for these to fry up, yeah? And it will take anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes. You see, we're starting to develop some color here, and it will finish cooking in the curry sauce. So I'm not too worried about whether it's done cooking or not, yeah? So all I'm gonna do is remove these guys, put them onto the paper line. You know, typically I would say when I'm frying stuff, I usually use a wire rack, but in this case here it doesn't matter because it's going back into a sauce, so we don't care if it remains crisp or not. I'm just going to work on the second batch now. Now as the second batch fry up there, I just want to show you, this is the same bowl where we marinated the fish in. And any small fish will work because, you know, here's the thing, there are bones in there, but because we fried it, it goes in nice and crispy, and those bones are going to become brittle, and you can eat everything in there, but again, be mindful, there are bones in there. 1.5 cups to 2 cups of water in here, swish it around and keep it. That's going to help with the curry sauce or gravy that we'll be creating. In my saucepan here, I've got 1.5 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Now, I am using a non-stick pan, so I was able to cut back a bit on the amount of oil that we're using because we already fried the fish. I don't want to add oil on oil. I use fresh vegetable oil here, but if you wanted a couple tablespoons of, or 1.5 tablespoons or so of the oil that we fried the fish in, arguably that may have some flavor in it, so you can use that as well. Onion, and I just finely diced onion, garlic. And I like big chunks of garlic and a lot of garlic. The full printable recipe will be available at CaribbeanPot.com. I like it spicy, so a Scotch bonnet pepper, and that's a green Scotch bonnet pepper. And if you've been following me for any length of time, you will know that I've talked about this before. The green peppers, whether it's a habanero or a Scotch bonnet or a Trinidad Merlot Scorpion, a Carolina Reaper, whatever, the green one will be as less intense but very flavorful. I kept the seeds and everything, but again, this is optional. In my humble opinion, when you're making a curry, it should be spicy and not just the spice from the different actual ground spices that we add, but also the heat of that Caribbean sunshine, that Scotch bonnet pepper. I got some nice color on there, so I want a bit of anchar masala, ground roasted jeera, many people know it as cumin, and that's going to bring out a lot of earthiness, a lot of deep, rich flavor within this curry. I want a tiny bit more black pepper in there just to brighten up everything a little bit with that fresh brown. I'm going to give it just a touch of salt just to soften up everything and waken up everything. We are indeed doing a curry, so in goes that curry powder. And what we want to do now is turn the heat down. I have my heat on medium all the while there. I want to turn the heat down just to sort of fry or toast all the spices. You know, it's not just the jeera and the anchar masala that we added in there. That curry powder is loaded with different spices as well. Give that a good stir just to make sure everything gets in contact with that hot oil. And the kitchen should have the lovely aroma. I know we started off with that fish, and that fish isn't the greatest smelling thing when it's frying, I'll be honest with you. So if you want to do this outdoor, you know, it's summertime. And the reason for me doing this is part of my in-season series right now. Smelts are running in the rivers and lakes here in Ontario, and years ago I used to go fishing for smelts. You'd get a drop net and you would catch smelts, but these ones just so happen to be ocean smelts. But you can use any smelts that you have available, and you notice the nice lovely color we got. The kitchen should be smelling nice and homely now with all those spices just being woken up from their long sleep. And it is natural for it to start clumping. It is natural for it to go darker in color, because remember that roasted cumin or jeera, the anchar masala, has dark elements to it as well to really toast it. And this kitchen is just smelling incredible. At this point I will add the water. I've brought it up to a boil now, so what I want to do is and I added 2 cups of water. I want to reduce this and intensify the flavor, so I'm going to reduce it by about 25% before we add we got the smelts all ready to go in there, and just soak up all of that lovely sauce. But for now, we just want to reduce that and concentrate the flavor and cook out the rawness of the curry. So when we fry the curry, we sort of wok it up. We need to cook out that rawness of the curry, or else, sometimes you eat a curry and you end up in the bathroom for several occasions. Yeah, that rawness, that it didn't cook out the curry enough. I am quite happy with the reduction of the curry base here now. So all we're going to do is tuck in these lovely fried smelts into that curry sauce there. And then I'm going to reduce the heat just a little bit. I don't want it to go too vigorous, because at the end of the day we still need some of that sauce or that gravy for rice, sada roti, whatever it is. For me and for many people, it's just plain old rice, and for even more people it is plain white rice. I am not the biggest fan of plain white rice like basmati and all that stuff like that. Give me a parboiled brown, you know what I mean? Now at this point we're almost done. What we want to do is sort of allow the fish to absorb that nice curry sauce here. So what I'm going to do is sort of tip it. I don't want to break up the fish as well, and I'm going to pour some of that sauce all over the fish. And I like to sort of conclude festivities a little bit different than how mommy and everybody else would do it. A lot of people, when they make curry fish, they would put a green mango in here for the sort of tartness, that sour kind of combination that works well with curry dishes. Some people put drumsticks in there as well too. And when I say drumsticks, I mean moringa, but in my case here, I much prefer nice chunky pieces of tomato. I'm just going to tuck it in, and I want the tomato to sort of hold its shape. And I started liking, I'll be honest with you, I think it was a chicken tikka masala, I think it was, over at the East Indian restaurant that I sometimes go to, they use big chunks of tomato in their curry, and ever since then I might have been a true fan of it as well too, because it's sort of the acidity it brings and the sort of slight sweetness and everything else. I just think it works. I'm gonna give this another minute just for that fish to further take on that sauce and the tomato to soften up and release some of the acidity in there. But that's it. We just did curry smelts, and you can use any fish you have available. At this point, I would suggest you taste and adjust the salt. And the final thing I like going in with, and I in Trinidad and Tobago, I would be using shadow benny or culantro. Some people call it bandania. In my case here, I am using freshly chopped cilantro, which is also called coriander. And that's it. We just gotta, I'm gonna turn off the stove. I'm gonna give that a gentle little mix up, yeah? Just to make sure that coriander, or you know, some people call it, well, in Canada we call it cilantro, but I know across the pond there people know it as coriander. Chris here, CaribbeanPod.com. Always a pleasure having you all in the kitchen with me. Curry Smelts, remember to visit CaribbeanPod.com. The recipe in a printable format with step-by-step instructions and precise ingredients will be found at CaribbeanPod.com. Alright, I'm going.